Hello, my name is Tej Singh, and I'm broadcasting from New Jersey on behalf of Stanford Online High School students from around the globe. So, hello world. With us here today is Mr. Ben Smith. He's the Senior Vice President of Experience at Hulu. It's such a pleasure having you on the show here today. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm really excited to do this.
So, let's just get started. Hulu is such a important brand when it comes to, the modern way of TV nowadays. People are cord cutting. And so how does Hulu compete against other similar products like Netflix and Amazon Prime? In essence, what makes it such a great platform for users?
It's a great question. I would say, first of all, I really don't think that we're competing with other video providers out there. Really, I think that people love TV. Bottom line, people love TV. It's entertainment they love, whether it's TV shows or movies. And so for us, it's really about what are the things that we do that just, help people love TV more. So, and as we think a lot about what's the new relationships people are forming with TV. For a long time, TV was something that only happened in the living room. And now TV happens in a lot of places that isn't the living room. So for us, it's what is the experience that people want to have with TV, the relationship with their favorite shows, and how do we make that better?
And so is it viable? So do you recommend, that people, instead of TV, they use Hulu? Because, I was reading you come up with a new service, I think for $40 a month, it's kind of like imitating TV or so. What do you see as the future of, 10, 15 years down the road? Will people be using Hulu as, for streaming TV?
Very much so. What I think happens right now, if you go back to the last thing I said, we really believe that people love TV. It's a form of entertainment they love. It's very important to them in their lives. So for us, it's how do we reinvent TV that fits into the lifestyle people are living today, not what they lived in the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s. So for us, as we think about, there's an important aspect of TV that's also live and linear. So how do we bring that in the experience, but bring it into the context that people live their lives today? In a world where it's increasingly on demand, whether it's the way that you watch video on demand and you binge watch, whether it's the way that you watch TV when you're on a bus or on a train, really kind of folding in all forms of TV, whether it's, video on demand, whether it's things that you've recorded to live TV, that all needs to be in one place for you to experience. And I do think that's what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it seems like Hulu will be like a one-stop shop of sorts. So do you have a particular show that, you enjoy or you watch in your free time from Hulu? I noticed you have, Hulu has its own original content, so.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited about original content. There's a couple shows I'm really into right now. The first one is actually one of our own shows, season 2 of Difficult People. It's a show about horrible, snarky people, and I kind of like horrible, snarky people, so I can relate to the show. I love the characters in it. I also really love Ray Donovan on Showtime. I just caught up to the latest episode last night, so it's a show that I just really love.
So moving on to, about your high school experience, because, our high schoolers is our main audience. How was it like? Did you have any specific memories or that, still impact you today, or, any advice for future high schoolers?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really fortunate to go to a high school, North Glen, Colorado in Denver. Shout out to them. They had a group of teachers and administrators that really cared about the students. So I had a fantastic experience in high school. And for me, one of the pivotal experiences was with a teacher that I had. His name was Frank Bodema for AP Computer Science when I was a junior. And, going into it, I already knew how to program. So the art of programming is not something I learned in that class. What he taught me, and I was good at the math part of it. What he taught me was how to unlock the creative part of bringing like the art to the science of computer science and the artfulness of it. And frankly, it just led me to start, exploring how humans worked with computers, not the art of the program, because I was already proficient at that. So it really kind of changed my view about math, about engineering and computer science. That kind of led to the career path that I have.
Yeah, and it's appropriate, you work in Silicon Valley. Do you suggest, perhaps, or, everyone has that sentiment in Silicon Valley, people should learn how to code, or do you also believe that, or what's your philosophy or thinking on, people learning how to program, especially young kids starting when they're in high school, maybe?
No, absolutely. I'm a big believer in STEM education overall. To me, it's a part of creative expression. You can express yourself creatively by painting. You can express yourself creatively by cooking. To me, computer programming and software development is the same thing. It's another kind of creative expression. And it's a way that you can get your creative art in front of like literally billions of people. And that's something that's just like unprecedented in human history. So it is exciting. It's the juice.
Yeah, you certainly see that today with Facebook. 1.7 billion people use it every month. So moving on to, suppose, you had 10 extra hours, your high school experience was great, but you had 10 extra hours a week as a high schooler. And you could go back and, emphasize something or, do one more activity. Looking back, what would it be?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, when I think back, I had a great experience in high school, a lot of like great classmates that kind of we pushed each other on. But and this is the advice I actually give to when I talk with specifically like colleges too, right now is looking back, I was too competitive with my fellow students. Like I felt I was in the competition to get the best SAT score, to get into the best school, to get the best grades. When now I would say that none of that actually mattered. What mattered were the relationships that I built. One of my best friends from high school went on to, he's a patent lawyer right now. So he knows something I don't know at all, but I've called him from time to time just to say, hey, I have this question about, how patent law works. And he's actually called me because he does biotech. He's called me to ask about software and software scale. So to me, that was like a relationship that we built that was lifelong, that has transitioned from us being hyper competitive with each other. Like we are the same guys that took the SAT test multiple times only to get a better score than the other person. And now I look back and go, all that competitiveness, what happened through high school, happened for me through college, was really wasted. I should have spend more time getting to know people, finding out what they're really good at, what their passions are, and then seeing like how you can, participate in that and learn from that. So that's the biggest thing I would say is just relax a little bit and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, that's certainly something, people talk about building all-star teams. That was, what Laila Ibrahim, she was the last interview, said, and you build those by having great relationships with people, getting to know them. So, speaking of that, at work at Hulu, what do you and your team do, since you're the senior vice president of experience? So, for example, what's something you look into recently?
Yeah, absolutely. So what my role is really as a product designer. I kind of sit in between two disciplines. Product management, where you're defining out the requirements of a product, what the unmet need of the consumer is, and what you go build, and then straight design, interaction design, visual design. So what we do here at Hulu and my team is really look, forward into the future, the next 3 to 5 years, principally about how are people going to want to consume TV, whether they know they want, like it'll be there or not. What are the changes in technology? What's the change in content creative? And how do we build the experience that they will want to have? So that's what we do. It's a lot of kind of how do you marry in human behavior and what human desires are with the kind of hardcore technical. How do you deliver billions of hours of video across the internet?
Certainly, you work with the best of both worlds, the technical and the artistic of sorts. So moving on to the lighthearted segment of our interview, if you could meet any person in the world or you just spend a day with them, who would it be, whether past or present?
It's great. It's one of these like simple questions that's really hard because you have to pick one. For me, part of it is one of my passions outside of work is I'm an alpinist, so hiking, mountain climbing, rock climbing. And then within work, I built my whole career on doing things that no one has ever done before. That's what I love. Like I'm not a maintenance guy. I'm not going to go make something 5% better. So for me, there's two people I would love to talk to is Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, the first two people to climb Everest. Partially because I just want to hear the real story. Like we know the historical version of the story. I'd like to hear the two of them about like what was the 6 months leading up to that like? What was it like immediately after you're done? And then I would just like to learn more about what is this audacious spirit of like no one has ever done this before. Frankly, and for their case, like just about everybody that tried has died. So like what was it within you that just said we're going to go do this, and just to learn from that experience. And I would just totally geek out on it as an alpinist.
Yeah, and I forget which one of them, but in an interview, if someone asked, why'd you climb it? They said because I could or I can. So that type of fearless attitude, which breaks boundaries and creates a lot of innovation, changes lots of people's lives.
Yeah, the statement was Edmund Hillary. The question was, why do you do this? He said, because it's there. And I love that. That's the part of the audaciousness of like, it's self-defining. It was there. No one had done it before, so thus it needs to be done. And that's a little bit of kind of how I live my life in general.
So now moving from people to events, is there any event, I guess, other than perhaps the climbing of Mount Everest of them, that you could any event you could go back to in history and just witness it?
Yeah, this one's a softball for me. The thing that I would love is I would have loved to have been there like the first time like Jimi Hendrix hit the stage. And it was just something that it's like a sound that no one had heard before, a style that no one had seen before. Because now we see it and we love it now, but I just can't imagine being there in like 1967 in London and seeing them on stage for the first time. That would be like unbelievable.
So do you like rock? Is that, or I like more pop music?
I love music in general. So like acoustic rock. To me, it's like I just love the passion of it.
So interesting answer. So we're moving on to a segment. It's called This or That. So we'll give you a couple choices and you choose which one you prefer the best. Crushed ice or cubed ice?
Cubed.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Would you rather have one wish granted today or 3 in 10 years?
Oh, one today for sure.
Would you rather be able to stop time or fly?
Fly.
Online shopping or shopping in a store?
Oh, dude, I like both of those things. I'm a shopper. Online.
Okay. Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Or Netflix or YouTube?
Oh, I love YouTube. I'm a YouTube junkie.
So does everyone. So this I love the suggestions. How you whether what algorithm they have, I don't know, but you're watching a video and it, based on your past history, just suggests other shows. That's so addicting. They make a lot of money off that, I guess.
I will admit to many late nights of falling down the rabbit hole, and then suddenly, I'm watching a bunch of high school kids do trick shots in their driveway at 4 a.m. I've been there.
So has everyone. So this brings us to the end of Pixel Talk. We'd like to thank Mr. Smith for graciously sparing his time here and inspiring not only the Stanford OHS community, but youth around the country and perhaps even around the world. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much.